Oh, there, they just.
Okay.
Good evening. I'm calling to order the March 26, 2024 Fountain City Council meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam, roll call.
Mayor Thompson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Rick.
Here.
Councilmember Hinton. Councilmember Applegate.
Here.
Councilmember Estes.
Here.
Councilmember Hersberg.
Here.
Councilmember Duncan.
Present.
6 members present, and Councilmember Hinton did notify staff of his absence. It's his birthday.
All right, thank you very much. That takes us on to item 4.1, presentation. And our monitors just went out. Okay, but the mic's back on. Okay, all righty, I'm going to go ahead for item 4.1, presentations. Department update and transportation, Bob McDonald. And you're just going to present from over there tonight?
I am.
Great, thank you.
I'm going to try to do a little more casual. I've been told I'm too formal, so.
All right, well,
We'll
if you
try it
can't-
from the seat tonight.
If you can't speak sitting down, feel free to stand up. So-
All right, thank you.
All right.
Are you queuing that up? There we go, perfect. Good evening, City Council, Mayor, and public. Just want to spend a few minutes tonight on a Transportation Division update, and we'll get going on that. A few things to cover. First thing, I did want to go over a little bit on what our projects are this year. Currently, we have about 6 roads that we've designated for resurfacing, or, well, all for resurfacing, some repaving, some chip seal. And there are listed above with current bids on what we received just the other day, reference-wise. So we're looking from Fountain Mesa. We're going to continue that northbound from Cali Entrada up to CNS Road. That road is definitely, we did a Cape Seal on that road in 2017, and it has definitely seen its end of life cycle. It's really starting to, every time we have a weather event, it's coming up in pieces now. So it's definitely a need for that. Ohio Avenue, we're trying to finish that project from Vern Street where we stopped last year by the park out to Jimmy Camp. We're trying to go through the other side of that intersection based on the goal of getting a lighted intersection there this year if possible. The next one is Sneffel Street, and that's on the north side of town up off of Mesa Ridge Parkway. And that's from Woody Creek, or basically 85 up to Woody Creek, which is our city limits on that side. Next one is Comanche Village Drive. That's a chip seal project from Fountain Mesa all the way down to the railroad tracks. The next one is CNS Road from Fountain Mesa to Monterey. It's just basically right off of Fountain Mesa by CNS there, going down to Monterey. That's another chip seal project. And then the last one would be CNS Road from Monterey down to Duckwood at the circle there basically, and that would be a slurry seal preservation for that roadway. Total cost bid right now is $684,000. I've been talking with finance to see what our estimated tax revenues are going to be this year for these projects. So I'm hoping we have enough to cover these projects. I have removed a couple streets that we received bids on, just knowing that we're going to be way over budget. So this is kind of our priority list based on what we think is current funding, and we'll see where that ends up. If we have to cut anything off of this based on estimated tax revenues, I would probably take off that CNS Road piece. The slurry seal from Monterey to Duckwood would be the first one to be cut off that list. Want to talk a little bit about some things going on with the streets department. You can see from our annual stats that were in the annual report, our dig out and our tons of asphalt utilized is one of the things I wanted to point out there. where we have steadily been going up from 2021 from about 431 tons of asphalt put down to conduct patching and asphalt repairs throughout the city. That jumped to 656 in '22, and last year we did almost 900 tons, 871 tons of patching throughout the city. Again, that's all by hand, so that's all hand patching and rolling. One of the great things this year, I'm hoping, is thank you again for approving the acquisition of that small paver that we received. We do have that in our possession now. That will give us the ability, hopefully, to speed up our patching. That is not a road paver, so it's not something that we can pave roadways with. It'll do a max of about a 6 or 7 foot patch, but we're hoping now where it takes us 3 or 4 days to dig out and repair and put down anywhere from 50 to 75 tons of asphalt in a patch. With these, we plan on laying out several projects at a time and being able to do that in a couple days is our goal. So because we won't have to do that by hand anymore. So we're really looking forward. We're just getting trained up on that now. So once we get crews trained and the weather warms up and the asphalt we need is made available, we'll definitely start utilizing that paver as much as we can. We're continuing work on 2 federal grants through NRCS and FEMA, and those are for the bridge repairs and some detention pond repairs. The major detention pond repair that we had to conduct this year was out at Benatucci, up by South Academy Highlands by Walmart. We had about a 6-foot wall that blew through when those rains came through. We did conduct those repairs in-house, and those repairs are complete now. So we'll be submitting our invoices and costs of that back to FEMA for reimbursement. We're estimating, I believe, materials was about $6,000 plus man hours. So we're looking at and there's about a 25% match, so we'll probably get back about $4,000 or $5,000 off of that one. But still, it's better than nothing. We're working with basis engineering, especially now based on what's going on in Maryland. It brings it even more to the forefront with their bridge collapse, although that wasn't due to a structural issue. We are trying to put together an inspection maintenance criteria and inspection schedule for the bridges throughout the city of Fountain. All our major bridges, we have, I believe, 5 major bridges in the city, and a major bridge is basically defined as anything with a span over 20 feet. We have about 7 or 8 minor bridges throughout the city that are not currently being inspected, and many of which have not been inspected for an extended period of time. So we are working to make sure that we get all those minor bridges inspected and establish a maintenance schedule depending on needs and priorities. Plowing operations this year are going much better, again, thanks to you, City Council, and our past City Council for approving the replacement of a lot of our heavy truck fleet. We only have about 2 of our older trucks right now that are still in our possession, one of which should be replaced here actually within the next couple of weeks. We should take possession of the latest replacement, and then we have 1 more. But because of that, we've got trucks that are actually running and will run for 12 hours straight without breaking down. In the past, we usually lost about 30% of our fleet within the first hour of plowing. Fleet always did their best to get them back up, but they were always down for extended periods of time with hydraulic leaks and other mechanical issues. That has not been the case, so we've been able to deploy. As long as manning allows, we can get 6 or 7 trucks out on the road for 12-hour shifts and get a lot more done throughout the city. So again, thank you for your support with those. We've talked a lot about the degradation of our roadways, and that continues to accelerate as we wait and as we look for funding resources to try to repair our infrastructure. And with the current PQI of our infrastructure, we are on that downhill slide, accelerated slide, into a lot of failing roads throughout the city, and I know you're aware of that. Again, with the patcher, we're really hoping this year that you'll see those asphalt quantities jump up even more this year. Again, as our maintenance budget allows, it's kind of a balancing act between the amount of patching we can do, of course, depending on the budget that we have for maintenance, but we'll definitely try to stretch that money as far as we can. Fleet Department, with our Fleet Department, we're currently working on a budget analysis for each department. It's something that I put together at the end of last year. where we usually, sometimes departments, depending on maintenance in their fleet, they get caught a little bit behind when we wait till mid-year and the second or third quarter to go, hey, by the way, you're overspending your maintenance budget because of A, B, or C. So we're trying to be a little more proactive this year and make sure that we're informing each of these department heads going, not based on hail damage, but based on just normal maintenance of our vehicles and our fleet in case we need to ask for supplemental funding to support the fleet. We're currently holding one position open. Based on what we're doing, we're keeping up with the maintenance that we need right now. We are evaluating a couple things. We're evaluating conducting in-house emission tests on vehicles. Right now, we outsource that to a couple different places in town. It's very limited on who does emission tests. So we're pretty held to a few different places. We're looking at possibly getting some of our personnel trained up and pricing equipment to do that testing in-house, which I believe will be a savings for us from the preliminary numbers that we've seen. And we're also evaluating the cost benefit of maybe hiring and filling that current open position, which will give us the opportunity to start doing some upfits in-house instead of outsourcing our upfits on our police cars and things like that. It's very expensive to do that. There's only a few places in the state right now that we can take those vehicles to. They know that, so of course they charge accordingly. And so we may look, again, we're looking at that now on the cost, if it's worth hiring that person and seeing if we're gonna still and save some money doing those upfits in-house. And lastly, our public transit department. Our ridership continues to increase. We've got some great numbers from last year. We've seen almost a 39% increase from 22 to 23. And you can see the passengers there. In 2022, we had a little bit over 12,000 passengers. And in 2023, we're almost at 17,000 passengers. So that's a great increase for us, and the dispatchers and everybody's doing a great job just getting our product out there and advertising what we do and the services that we provide. So we've installed new, what they call QR code signs at all our bus stops, which helps our passengers see our schedules. All they have to do is take their phone and do a little QR code reader, and it'll show what the schedule is and the next time a bus is going to be frequenting the bus stop. So I think that's been a great addition for us. Staffing continues to be a challenge, primarily with our part-time drivers. It's hard to find good part-time drivers for these positions because everybody's looking for benefits. So that is a challenge. We are bringing on somebody here in a couple weeks to fill one of our holes. With the short and the limited manning that we have right now 3 full-time and 3 part-time drivers. If we lose a part-time driver or somebody calls in sick or we have a bad weather event, somebody can't get to work, it really affects the ability for the department to get out there and get the buses on all our routes. So it does affect us. And of course, as King Soopers and UCS completes construction up off Syracuse, we're looking at adding a couple bus stops up there when they're complete. And that is all I had. Any questions?
Thank you, Bob. You're not the only one struggling with drivers. The specialized service providers are just really, really struggling too. It's just really, really hard
Absolutely.
right now. So let's see, Councilmember Rick.
Bob, there are 3 things. First off, Bob, thank you and your crews for your work during the recent snowstorm. Do appreciate that. We have certain streets, correct me if I'm wrong, that we can't snowplow because of the waviness in the roads. Is that correct?
You are correct, and it's not that we can't plow them, but if we do, we're going to tear them up. So, and you're right. If we have a lot of streets throughout the city, in Heritage, in Cross Creek, down in Little Ranches and things like that, especially that are, when you get to the point where you have a lot of alligatoring or where the road is really coming apart and turning itself back into a dirt road, if we run a heavy plow on those, we're going to accelerate that damage multiple times.
Would it make sense? We have a page on our city website that lists our snowplow procedures. Would it make sense, and I'm not just asking you, but the rest of council, to put a list of those streets that we can't plow without tearing it up, so that everybody knows these are the streets we're not going to be able to get to? Does that make sense?
We can definitely do that. Yeah, and I can definitely do that. I will tell you that I never like telling people I'll never do that for you, because there are times, especially during this storm, there were streets that I did not want to plow for a couple reasons. When you get 6 or 7 inches of heavy snow and slush on the roadway, we got a lot of phone calls saying, hey, when are you going to plow the street? And I'm like, be careful what you ask for, because if I plow your street, now I'm going to take that 8 inches of slush and I'm going to pile it up into a 3 or 4 foot wall and block you in your driveway. And now you're going to have to get out there, and it's going to be worse than you just trying to push through the slush. So, but we did sometimes, and there are times when, depending on, a lot of it is training. There are times when we can get down those streets, but I agree with you. I think it might be a benefit to the community to know that here are some streets that are in such bad shape. I am very hesitant to run a
Yes.
plow down them.
I think that something along the lines of, we may not be able to plow these streets depending upon how much snow, rather than we're just not going to do it.
Absolutely.
We could say, depending upon the snow and the situation we're in, we may not, due to the road conditions.
I like that.
We had a fire truck get damaged recently out on the interstate. Any estimate on how long it's going to take you to get that fixed?
We are actually trying to get that back in service here in the next couple of weeks. The damage that that fire truck sustained is mostly cosmetic. We are getting bids, and we are waiting for CERS to come down and do their estimates. After they come down, we are hoping to do some temporary repairs on some of the body that was damaged, and hopefully get it back in service here within the next few weeks. The problem we have with that truck is the body is actually, a lot of that body is actually made out of plastic. So there are only a couple, really one, it's in Commerce City, that is qualified to do what they call the plastic welding and put it back together. So we are trying to get, like I said, CERS to come down and get their estimate completed, and then get it up to Commerce City to do, or get an estimate on when they can touch it. My goal is that if they tell me we can't touch it for 2 months, we're going to bring it back and we're going to put it back in service. If they say we can get it in a week, then we'll probably leave it up there and get it fixed.
Okay.
I'm hoping two factors. If they can get to it quickly, it'll stay up there and probably be up there for a few weeks before we get it back. If there is an extended time period before they can touch the truck, then we'll get it back in service probably within a week or so.
Okay. And just finally, thanks for me personally. Talked to you about the school signs out by the high school. Thank you. I saw some of them got put up, so thank you for that.
You betcha.
That's all I have, Madam Mayor.
As long as we're not duct taping together, right?
No duct tape.
Okay, but it will have red or blue,
Super
whatever
glue.
matches. Super glue, there we go. Okay. All right, that's a really, really good report. Thank you very much. It's good information. And keep update on those. And Deetra had a question.
No question. I just want to echo the sentiments, because during our workshop, our assistant city manager gave kudos to your department and our Mayor Pro Tem. I just want to continue those echoes, sugar on top. Thank you for, when we're sleeping at night, your guys are out there under your leadership, and I'm sure you're awake also, making sure that we're safe getting to work in the morning. And I also wanted to say that there is a peak alerts that if you go on, it's www.peakalerts.org, and you can sign up to get these alerts, to be prepared even before and after disasters. So again, thank you so much, and tell your staff. I know we don't get to see your staff. That was the nice thing during COVID. We got to go to the departments. So please tell your staff thank you.
I will do so. Thank you.
All right, any other comments or questions? Thank you, Bob. All right, that takes us on to item 4.2, boards, commissions, and committees. We have no appointments tonight. That takes us on to item 5, correspondence, comments, and ex officio reports. Mr. Evans.
2 items that are in the talk of the city right now, the Lego house over on Monterey Way. is coming down as we speak. Non-permitted, we had no knowledge of it until we started getting some notifications from you all. So code enforcement went out, I went out myself, spoke to them. It was a YouTube influencer that has 5 million followers that decided it was going to be a good idea to put a Lego house up. And when I say a house, it was a 2-story structure. It wasn't a typical Lego house. So no permitting, had not got a hold of us, regional building, anything else. Complaints started coming in from the neighbors. Spoke to his attorney, so within a day and a half, they are taking down the house, and it should not be a problem. Big news, Lego house. Second one is, you'll notice over on Indiana that they've got about probably 80% of Indiana complete at this point. So the last couple of stages in that is the paving itself, and then we will still be in a waiting hold period for those traffic signal poles themselves to come in. Those were ordered in November. We hope they come in June, but as the supply chain is going right now, we don't have a good exact time frame of when CDOT will take possession, and we'll put those up. So we're excited to get that completed. That's all I've got tonight, Mayor.
Hopefully the posts weren't on the cargo ship for that crashed in Maryland today, huh? That was, yeah, we have our own bridge issues, yeah. That was awful. That was really, really awful. Okay, all righty. Troy,
Nothing to add from me tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
all right. Anything else, Bob?
Nothing else right now.
Okay. Chiefs?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Good to see everybody. Just two real quick things. Yesterday morning, we swore in our 2 newest firefighter EMTs, so super excited about that. I got to visit with both of them extensively yesterday, and they're both solid additions to our department, and so excited about that. And I'm sure you saw the press release this morning for our badge pinning swearing-in ceremony Monday night at 6 o'clock at Station 1 for our 9 new drivers, with this being kind of our maiden voyage, our first go with the formal promotable position of driver. We wanted to do kind of a big deal for them, and so that'll be Monday night, 6 o'clock at Station 1. So I think that's all.
And there'll be fire engine drivers?
Driver operators.
Driver operator, okay.
But yes, they will be driving the fire engines, not
Right.
specifically the ambulances. So they're qualified to run the pumps, and they've been tested on that and met the standard.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Evening, Mayor and Council. No update tonight, just a quick notification that we're going to be doing our annual awards ceremony tomorrow night. So we're going to be giving a lot of officers some great awards that they've earned over the last 3 years. We're a little behind the curve because of lots of reasons, but we're going to have that tomorrow afternoon, and we'll notify everybody on social media of those awards. That's all I have. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. City Clerk?
Nothing, thank you.
IT?
Nothing tonight, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for our new stands, that they're down a little bit more, and thank you. I actually see you. All right, Councilmember Rick.
Nothing tonight, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Corey.
Regional's picking up. They said more building permits are being pulled and business as usual, summertime, so a lot of construction going on. That's all I got.
Are they mostly residential or commercial permits?
Mostly residential, mostly houses going up on the east side, so.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you. Councilmember Estes.
Nothing this evening.
Okay, Councilmember Hertzberg.
Nothing for me, thank you.
Councilmember Duncan.
Just would like to say my prayers are with the Baltimore families and the entire Baltimore area for the partial bridge collapse. I know we've all been watching that on the news, but just praying that everyone that is missing is found. So just like to keep them in prayer. I went on a ride-along last week with the Fire Station 1 in Fountain, and we checked out businesses to see how they should, they go into your homes. These are our firemen going into your homes. They've never been in your homes, and they don't know how your doors are, if they're blocked, if they're not blocked. So they showed us some tactics that they do to get inside a home, to put the fire out, and they search for victims. And I just want to say that it was very impressive They take good care in not trying to tear up your homes. The staff was very informative. They are very, I want to say, they look at every situation. They look at things that we wouldn't know what to think of. Our firefighters are the best. They represent us really well, and they had very good things to say about the chief. So I just wanted you to know that they are very happy, and I am glad to hear that they are, even though they're short-staffed, and most fire stations are, that they are happy. And they take pride in their job, and they do a very good job. So I just wanted you to know that. Also attended the Sheriff's Award Program for the Sheriff's Department on last Thursday with Sharon. And it was amazing to see how they saved lives each and every day. Want to thank them for all of their hard work that they do. And let's see. Oh, and another thing, Tamara, I want to let you know that I went to the Pikes Peak Women Wine and Chocolate. And they had Allie Schultz, and that's how you say her last name? Shook. Allie Shook. And she is the director for the Fountain Creek, Watershed Creek. And she got an award, which I thought was amazing. So the councilwoman in Colorado Springs, Nancy Henjum, got an award, and our Fountain for Carson District 8 Board President, Shirley Martinez, got an award. So that was awesome to see there. Congratulations to Whitefield. They have a new superintendent, Whitefield School District 3, Mr. Aaron Huffman. So that was great to see that they went through the process and they got someone that feels is good. Bringing up Whitefield again, I am this zone for Whitefield. So if you hear me say Whitefield, that's why, because my street is so long, they cut it. They cut it. So the front and end of my street is Whitefield and the other half is Fountain. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. That was a really, really good awards banquet. We just have fantastic deputies. I don't think we probably need to tell you guys, but I tell you, the gal got an award because she did a ton of research in figuring this out. But and it gave us the chuckle of the night was the guy who wrote a letter to, I'm not sure if his wife or fiance from prison, telling him how to break into the yard where his car was an impound, and how to get into his car and where the drugs and the money were, so that she could get him out of the impound lot for him. And he put it in letters, and all the letters coming out of the jail are read by someone. So that was very helpful of him to do his confession. And she didn't get the letter, so she didn't get there fast enough to get the stuff. So you gotta love, I think that's gonna be one of those ones on that TV show, you see once in a while. Yeah, and so you're hearing all these really super serious things and these dramatic things, and you got tears in your eyes, and then all of a sudden this story comes up. So it was a nice little change to the evening. And but they are doing a great job out there. Went to a mayor's lunch with Mayor Mobilotti, and I have, Sylvia, if we could scan this in maybe and get it to the council. It was the Pikes Peak Operation of Emergency Management Migrant Information Update, and then some storm information update. This is dated just a couple weeks ago, so we'll get that out to the council, and it's just kind of interesting what's going on there. PPACG, Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments, we continue to be super busy. We put out for public notification, Area on Aging and 5310 funding, that's federal funding for rides, out for public comments, and so that is out there for those that were awarded. And also, we completed the 2025-2029 Transportation Improvement Program draft document, so if anybody wants to read it, I have an extra copy, and you can find out all the transportation programs that will be going on. And this is another one of those lists, Todd, if you're not on it, right? You're not going to get the money. So it's a super important document, and we have to redo those every 4 or 5 years. And then the biggest announcement, though, because I think this interests people, is the rest area that's south of Fountain. They finally announced that they are not going to be rehabilitating that rest area. It's out of date, it's damaged, there's no water, they're not going to get water. So they are looking at moving that rest area down to approximately exit 108. Which is north of Pueblo, kind of a little bit north of where that Love's travel station is, north of Pueblo. And the reason is they can work with Pueblo County and get water. So that will hopefully be taking place there, and more land that can be larger. So hopefully we will have places to stop the vehicles when we have these storms and windstorms and different things, and the truckers will have more places to stop down there. So, because we do get questions about that rest stop and when it's going to reopen. So now we know it's not, the rest stop right outside town here is not going to be reopening. And so that was kind of interesting to finally hear that said. Weekly, continue to go to several legislative group meetings, one with Fountain and Monument and one through PPACG. And I just wanted to highlight some bills that we have some concerns about. One bill is, I already gave one of these to Gordon, Senate Bill 106, and it's 24-106 if you wanted to look it up. It's called the Right to Remedy Bill. And Regional Building put this graph together for us on multi-family unit housing dwellings in the past 20 years in El Paso County. And I'll have Sylvia, I'll pass these down to Sylvia, maybe we can put the rest at the back. It just shows a dramatic drop-off in any condominium buildings in the last 20 years in El Paso County. And we're really hoping that people can put pressure to pass Senate Bill 106, the Right to Remedy Bill. It did get out of committee. Senator Exum did, he was the swing vote. He did support this bill to get it out to the entire Senate to hopefully get this bill passed. We hope this is the first step in getting condo construction, and it's not taking rights away from people if their house is damaged. It's saying, let's give the builder a chance to remedy it first before we go to court. So, and if one building is damaged, we don't need to sue the entire hundreds of buildings in the lawsuit. So if you have a few minutes, read that bill. Another one is House Bill 24-1366. And I have to tell you, they are coming up with some super creative titles to some of these bills this year that sound really nice and have nothing to do with what the bill actually does. This one is entitled Suitable Local Government Community Planner Bill. And they are really pushing this bill through, and it has some really, really worrisome timelines in it. If we do a new plan for the city, we will be required to have a climate action element in it, in our master plan, and it has to be delivered to the government. Any grants that are awarded, you have to have community action element in your plan again. And these grants that would be available for community planning and things, you'd have to, by December of this year, you would have to, I can't read my own writing. You would have to incentivize an affordable housing and have an economic development and revitalization efforts in your downtown areas. By January of 2025, you'd have to have state climate air quality goals, water conservation, reducing your water supply, treatment and infrastructure costs included in that also. So these are all unfunded mandates that we talk about when coming down to the states. So if you go on the state's legislative website and you look up 24-1366, go to the fiscal note for it, and you will find all these requirements that are coming down to us unfunded if this bill passes. So I have a lot of concerns with that one. And our city did actually take a formal opposed position on that. And a brand new bill, Senate Bill 24-184, that was introduced on the 19th, and they are fast tracking it through, and it's going to be in committee tomorrow, the 27th. This one's called Support Surface Transportation Infrastructure Development. and it includes a new term that none of us are familiar with called a travel shed. So that's a new term. And this would be a new user fee enterprise, and they're going to enact what they call a congestion impact fee. It would add $3 a day to gas rental cars or trucks that you rented. Now, you're already paying a rental fee to the state already. I believe it's $2 a day state safety program fee. So this would almost double that. And then $2 a day to an electric vehicle or a hybrid rental vehicle. All this money goes to Fort Collins. None of it will stay down here in the southern part of the state. All that money is going to go there because they don't think they're going to be able to get the Front Range passenger rail on the ballot this year. And part of the reason is because the Fort Collins, Boulder to Denver line is not finished, and so they don't think those people are going to support it. So this is, I don't want to call it a scheme, but I don't know what to call it at this point. This is an attempt to take your money on what you're renting down here and take it to Fort Collins for their passenger rail and their RTD up in the Denver metro area. So you might want to look up SB 24-184 and write your senators and your representative about that bill. And because they are, again, unfunded mandates, and that is money directly out of your pockets, and there's absolutely pretty much zero benefit to you. And I don't know if you watch the stories about how well some of that stuff is working in Denver, but I'm not sure I would want to ride it up there. So anyways, sorry to take so long, but that's my updates with a lot of things. I just really have some concerns about some of the bills that are going on up in our legislature. So with that, yes, go ahead.
So since we're talking about bills, and I forgot, because I'm also on the legislative team, we have House Bill 24-1104, and this is prohibiting firefighters' personal information so this bill takes effect 90 days after the adjournment of the General Assembly, unless it dies or someone puts a referendum to petition it. But it has been passed, and that's HB 24-1104, and that's prohibiting your personal information from being on the internet. There you go. That's all I have.
Sylvia, if we could just put those at the back. Okay. All righty. Thank you. All righty. So lots of stuff going on in the legislature. They do pass something good every once in a while. It just, interesting stuff is outweighing it right now. So we want to keep our money here for what we want to do in our community, for what we need to get done. I think we just heard a report from Bob that told us why we need to keep our money here. So thank you. Okay, that takes us on to item 6, public to be heard. Citizens may address the council on items that are not on the agenda. Council may not be able to provide an immediate answer, but will direct staff to follow up. Out of respect for the council and others in attendance, please limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. I do have 2 cards. I have one from Diane Doremus. Oh, Doremus. Okay, almost got it. Okay, and you wanted to talk about traffic safety and school crossing. Please come to the mic, and does she need to turn that on? Okay, I'm not sure which button you turn on there, so there you go. Just state your name for the record, please.
Diane Doremus. I moved down here 2 years ago, and I live off of Comanche and Desert Circle. And you guys, I don't know who did it, but somebody put in to have the railroad track crossing turn blocked. When they did that, now all the traffic is coming up Comanche, turning on Desert Circle, using my street as a U-turn to get back onto 85-87. Last year, in the summer, one of the kids almost got hit getting off the school bus. Okay? That's a big issue. Okay? I ran outside. It was a big work truck with a trailer on the back end. I screamed at him. I hit the truck, and I told him, "Don't you ever come down my street again." I scared the life out of him, because he almost hit this kid getting off the school bus. That's one big concern. Second concern really quick is the crossing at Desert Circle and Comanche. We got kids that live on the other side that cross Comanche to catch the bus. And that's a big issue right there. There's no crosswalk, there's no stop signs, there's nothing to stop traffic so they can get across. Okay? I have a disabled son who's 36. He crosses that street to go down to the bus stop, which is on 8587. He got hit by a car. Okay, just FYI, we need something done with that corner. Okay, if you wouldn't mind. I've been in contact with the state of Colorado over 8587, and I've gotten no response, so I'm asking for your help to help me. 8587, my son rides his bike to McDonald's to go to work, okay? He got hit by a car on his bike down there just past the park. The truck knocked him off and he went into the ravine. Okay, we need to expand that road and put a bike lane, something to keep people safe. I see people in wheelchairs trying to go down that street. There's no sidewalk. There's nothing for them to get down to Walmart. A lot of times your bus system is down and they still got to go to work. People live by me that work at McDonald's and Walmart and all that, and they can't get there. Transportation's down. I saw a guy in a wheelchair. I've seen people on bicycles. That road is not safe. So if I can get your help to help me to get the state to do something about it, that'd be awesome. That's all I have today.
Todd and I know exactly who to talk to about Highway 85, and so we'll talk later.
Okay.
You know, and
Sounds
I
great.
wish it could happen right away too. I totally do.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that your family has had so many difficulties with that. I will tell you though that the sign that you mentioned about you can't make the left turn, that was a requirement for the Quiet the Train program. We had no control over that being there, and if we wanted to make that be a
Then
quiet-
tell the train drivers not to blow their horn at 2:00 in the morning every night.
We're getting there. You know, this last intersection here, and then one more update on the Ohio, right? And then we should be there. It's just taken a really, really long time.
And my only other issue I've already talked to the chief about is
Right.
the speed zone coming down Comanche. By the time they reach my street, they're doing 40, 50 miles an hour.
Yeah.
We got to do something about that. Maybe we can put a stop sign there so that everybody has to stop, so that the kids are safe and that the people trying to get out from Desert Circle onto Comanche can get out.
Right, and that is almost like a combined, you know, Chief will have to work on that, just in general, short term, and maybe Mr. Evans will have to work on that long term. And because I know they're gonna come back and say, if you wanna put a stop sign or anything there, we're gonna have to do a study and all that kind of stuff, so.
And just one thing on the quiet zones, a lot of people think that because it's a quiet zones, trains cannot, use their horns. Anytime those trains, operators, conductors, they own that train, if they see any type of obstruction on the track, perceived or otherwise, they are going to utilize the horn.
I was
So that's
told-
why.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
go ahead.
I was told that one of the drivers that comes through there has family there, so that's how he lets them know that they're home. Okay? At 2:00 in the morning, I've got clear shot to that track, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's
the
every single night.
railroad. Yeah, the railroad owns that,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, that railroad's been there a lot longer than the houses.
I
So we
understand
have
that.
very limited
I
ability
know.
to say.
You can't do
better
anything about
not."
that, but
Yeah.
can we do something about getting the traffic better in that section?
We can take a look at it. I mean,
I'd appreciate it.
it's more than just, I will tell you that stop signs are not utilized, and it's basically a federal mandate. If you look at our
Maybe-
MUTCD, you can't use a stop sign to slow traffic down. It's a safety hazard. It causes more accidents. There are other things that we can do, though. So we'll definitely
Okay.
get together and take a look and see. We'll get some traffic enforcement out there. Anytime you're dealing with a downhill hill like that.
Oh, I
you know,
understand.
ended up, we on the pedestrian crossing, we can definitely take a look at that. The only bad thing about pedestrian crossings is I just can't put stripes across the road. So I also have to improve and make that entire area ADA compliant if I do
Right.
that.
And I
So-
would appreciate that, because
Yeah.
my son, with his disabilities, he has a hard time getting out
I'm
on the
gonna,
street.
yeah.
So-
We're-
So
Yeah,
we'll take a look at it, though.
thank you
Okay,
very much.
thank you.
All right,
Appreciate
and
you.
we do have her contact information here, so,
Sounds good.
okay, thank you. Thank you for coming in. All right, the next card is from Bryce O'Brien, and it says, "The outcome of the egg hunt." I hope you're going to tell me the kids found some eggs at the park, because you had really great weather that day. Yeah.
Thank you. Bryce O'Brien. Hi, thank you for having me, Council Mayor.
I don't think your mic's on. I think it automatically turned off after 5
There it
minutes. so-
goes.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I just want to thank City Council and your support of the city in this. This is our first time taking our 4th annual egg hunt out of our neighborhood and turning it into more of a community event for Fountain. And it went really well. We ended up with 800 signups. We had 500 children at Metcalf Park this past weekend for our egg hunt. So yes, it did go very well. We also had 8 local Fountain businesses put up tents, and in order to be a part of it, we had them donate to the VFW, because this is a free event for Fountain, so we're not here to make money on it. This is our donation to the community as a business. So we're just really happy for all the small businesses that took part in this with us. And also 6 of the Fountain registered food trucks came out and they also donated. So we raised a good amount of money, $680 for the VFW. So we're very pleased with the outcome overall, and we want to thank you all for supporting it and coming out. Thank you, Gordon, for coming out. We just had a really great day. We also had Bill's Equipment and Tool Rental donate the generator for all the bounce houses for the children, so we appreciated that. And Bubba's 33 donated pizzas for 500 children.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a very, very successful Fountain egg hunt. So thank you all for doing that and being a part of it, and we appreciate you coming. So the other thing we did right before that, leading up to the egg hunt, was our golden egg hunt through Fountain. And it was, we had 1,200 entries scanned for the competition to win a week in Florida and $800 in airfare. And that meant we had 1,200 people in Fountain businesses and parks. So that also, to us, was a huge success, much bigger than last year's turnout. That this was only our 2nd year doing it, so it was very successful. We had 46 of our Fountain businesses allow us to plant eggs and take part in this, to have some of our consumers come into their businesses. And we thought that also was a big raise from last year. We only had 25 businesses that wanted to take part. So this year, people had heard and they wanted to do it. And I think next year we'll have even more. We also had Fountain PD, Fountain Fire participate as well by letting us hide eggs, and thank you very much. It was a great time and great turnout, and our winner was Rick Dockham, and he was very excited to get his grand prize. Our citizens' feedback was really good. We did 5 community events leading up to this and doing the Golden Egg Hunt, where we took time to go out into Fountain businesses. They basically signed up for a night for us to come out for 2 hours and bring people from the community into their business for drawings and raffles, and we gave away products from those local businesses. And that was a great success getting people into them, and a lot of the businesses had commented that they were really glad to see that people were coming in and purchasing things. And a lot of people participating in the egg hunt said there were so many places in Fountain they didn't know existed. Some of the parks specifically, they didn't know we had a museum down here. And so they had to go find these places, which helped them learn more about Fountain. And we got that comment quite a lot. That was a resounding comment. So it was very successful, and I just want to thank the community for allowing us to do this and being a part of it. And the last one is Gordy McCormick. He was just really from Parks, the Metcalf Park, was just very helpful for everything that we needed. He was just right there, Johnny on the spot, so we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And some of the really, really best events are just organic events that come from members of the community. And, really, so thank you very much. And that's fantastic and exciting. And don't be afraid to go on the west side of the freeway. There's businesses over there. So, and several, pretty good ones. So she said, huh? All right. Thank you very much. That is super exciting. And I know 500 kids. Wow, that's amazing. Who stuffed all the eggs? Did you guys do that too? Stuff all the eggs? You buy, oh, I didn't know you could do that. Oh, it's something new. Yeah, well, I learned something new. I didn't know you could buy pre-stuffed eggs. I just assumed you had to buy them, so, yep, all right. That takes us on to item 7, consent agenda. All items listed under consent agenda are considered routine and will be approved with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or citizen so requests, in which case any item may be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately at the discretion of council. So we have consent agendas A, B, C, and D. What would council like to do? Councilmember Applegate.
Move to approve consent agenda, items 7A, B, C, and D.
Councilmember Duncan.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further deliberation? Seeing none, please vote.
6 yes, motion carried.
Okay, that takes us on to item A, old business. We have none tonight. Item 9, new business. 9A, consideration of items removed from the consent agenda. No items were removed. 9B, Resolution 24-011, a resolution authorizing an emergency funding request for $425,000 from the city budget to fund the city's 25% match portion of a United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, Natural Resources Conservation Services, NRCS, grant in the amount of $1,890,000. Mr. McDonald.
Good evening again, Mayor and City Council. So this is tying into the repairs that are necessary, the emergency repairs that are necessary for one of the two bridges that I'll be speaking about tonight. This is the one on Banley Road that goes over.
Could you lean a little or pull the
Absolutely.
mic forward a little bit, maybe?
That goes over Clover Ditch. Right now, this is a high number for us, so we're estimating a little high. Right now, we're at about a 30% design for this project, and we're right at about $1.7 million for repairs. We're hoping we can keep it around that area or that amount of money. And again, as the summary information states, there's a 25% match. So the NRCS reimburses 75%, and then we have to match that 25%. Again, just this is an imperative repair for the city and for the infrastructure. Right now, we're looking at if we had to replace that infrastructure for the Banley Bridge, we'd be looking at about $7 or $8 million minimum to repair that or to replace that infrastructure if we lost it. We're at a point now with the damages that occurred during the storms of 2023 that we've got about 8 or 9 feet of scour on what would be the downstream side of that. So these repairs would do a number of things. First off, they would take care of the scour and complete the repairs and also armor re-slope and armor the existing infrastructure that's there, and also we would be armoring the on what would be the west side of the bridge and going and armoring that to prevent future damage. And I'm trying to see where you're at there.
Go
All
to
right,
the
so
Gateway,
a little-
go to the Gateway Prayer Garden,
Yeah,
Paul,
it's-
and it's right
it's-
across from it. Gateway Prayer Garden?
There you go. A little further. Okay, so there's the KOA, there's the stream right there that goes across Clover.
Go up farther north,
Yeah, a
Paul.
little further north,
Right there.
right there.
If you can go right in on that creek.
Yeah, so this is the creek right there that we're speaking about. There's a lot of infrastructure that goes across that bridge. We're also partnering with Fountain Sanitation, as annotated in the summary information. They sustained a lot of damage to a major sanitation line that runs just to the east of that bridge, runs right through there. And so they're also, I'm sorry, we're right here, this is I-25. So this is the sanitation line that we've got a lot of scour right through there and all through here. This is what when I talk about the downstream side of the toe of that box culvert bridge, this is where the majority of the damage is. It's also eaten away into the support structures for that sanitation line. So they have a lot of interest in getting these repairs done as quick as possible. And they'll be sharing with the costs, of course, of that. So we have, in the design, we are separating out their portion of that, which they'll reimburse the city for after repairs are complete. So again, with that, we're looking at about the 25% match. We're looking at a max of about $425,000 that we're asking from the reserve accounts to be able to cover that 25%.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions on that one?
I appreciate you clarifying where that's coming from, that it's coming from the reserves.
It would be coming from the
because it's-
reserves on this one.
Right, because it's not a budgeted project.
Correct.
But it absolutely has to be taken care of. I think before this happened, I've driven over that hundreds of times and never even realized it was a bridge, right? And, because it's just part of the road. And I remember when they were telling me about it, I kept saying, what bridge, what bridge? And, I had to actually go out and look at it. So, and that was where, Todd, you had employees actually out there. We had people trapped, right? Because they cut off the corner where Crest turns, and then this was flooding over the top of the bridge, and you had teams out there during the flood doing what?
Correct. Both of the RV camp there, they could not get out both north and south. So we had to stop that. Bob's guys actually got down into that creek with their heavy equipment and removed the big trees that had come down off of Fort Carson as it happened. And then we got folks across as we could.
Yeah, so really important. Okay, all righty. So, Councilmember Duncan, you have a question?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So I saw on the Fountain Creek Watershed Flood Control Greenway District page about a disaster relief grant. Do we qualify for that?
We're utilizing, it may be another source of funding. We're utilizing the USDA because they're a quicker funding source and we can get the repairs done. And we'd also have a match through that also. So we would still be required to pay for a portion of that through NRCS with the NRCS grant. This is what they specialize in. They offer their design services also that I'll get into the next bridge. But we think it's just from what we're seeing and what has been a trend statewide through these type of disasters with water source type disasters, these are a better funding source for these type of repairs.
Okay. Because I know they were, when they were talking about this, they were talking about the erosion that's on the property that we're seeing with the property owners. But they do have a grant, and I don't know if, maybe we can look into it to see, but there's a link on the Fountain Creek Watershed Flood Control Greenway District page.
We can definitely take a look at it and see if we can try to get some grant funding to reimburse the 25% match, I guess, that we have to supply.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, any other questions or comments from council members? Any questions from anyone in the audience? Okay, well, thank you very much for getting that grant, and so we can get it done.
Absolutely, thank you.
So thank you very much. And so what would council like to do with this? I'm sorry? It's two different resolutions. Yeah, that's okay. All right. So on Resolution 24-011, what would council like to do? Councilmember Duncan.
Motion to approve an emergency funding request for $425,000 from the city budget reserves to fund the city's 25% match portion of a United States Department of Agriculture, USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service, NRCS grant in the amount of $1,890,000, you know that number.
$1,890,000.
Yes.
I know it's hard to say
It's a
those.
big number.
Big number, yeah. Councilmember Rick.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for Resolution 24-011. Any further deliberation? Seeing none, please vote.
6 yes, motion carried.
It takes us on to item C, Resolution 24-012, a resolution authorizing utilization of $375,000 from the Jimmy Camp Creek Drainage Account to fund the city's 25% match portion of a United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, Natural Resources Conservation Services, NRCS grant in the amount of $1,690,000 for repair to the Old Pueblo Road Bridge. And before I turn it over to Mr. McDonald, Ms. Huffman, did you want to say something?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just for clarification for council and for the public, We have established by ordinance 1199 that there is a stormwater drainage fund. It is not a tax-producing fund, so therefore, City Council is the director over this fund, and it's not an ex officio board of directors, as it would be in a GID situation. So that's all I have tonight.
Okay, so we will be kind of acting in that role for this.
It's not any separate. City
Okay.
Council is just the director over that stormwater drainage
Okay,
fund.
just making it clear where it's coming from.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. McDonald.
So thank you again. So this is the second bridge that we've identified during the flooding of the storms in 2023. This bridge also sustained a lot of erosion damage underneath the bridge. It's hard to see when you're driving over it. The bridge is still stable, but underneath the piers, this is a pier-supported bridge, and several of the piers underneath the bridge have sustained major erosion around the pilings. So we've got anywhere from 8 to 10 feet of erosion. You can kind of see some of those pilings right here. This is the piling, and there's one next to it that's kind of blocked by some trees right here that sustained the majority of the damage. As the water came down from Jimmy Camp Creek down through, of course, it eroded out this area through here and expanded this area. So we've got major erosion down through here and major erosion underneath the bridgeway, and especially around the support pilings for that bridge. This bridge to replace is anywhere from $15 to $20 million if we lost this structure. So again, it's imperative that we conduct these emergency repairs. We are trying the best we can to get these repairs conducted and completed before the storms that may come this year. We're not sure if we can get there, but we do have some emergency protections that we plan on putting into place if we can't complete the repairs, kind of temporary repairs to protect these pylons. Based on estimated costs right now, again, we're looking at about $1.69 million in damage to repair. And the repairs for this, of course, will be resupporting the pylons under the bridge, armoring those pylons to prevent future damage. And a lot of the repairs, and that's another reason, a good reason for going through the NRCS, is they not only look at current repairs and putting the bridge back to its previous condition prior to the floods, but they are really more interested in preventing this damage from occurring in the future. So a lot of the recommendations that their designers and their engineers go through is what do we need to do to keep this from happening? The nice thing about this bridge is NRCS, their designers and their engineers are fronting a lot of the design costs, and they are doing this design in-house, which is saving the city a lot of money. So, and then it's just part of, if they have engineering staff that is available to do so, they will volunteer to do a lot of this design in-house, which is a substantial cost savings to the city. So with that, again, with that 25% match based on current repair needs and prevention measures for the future, we're looking at that 25% of the total repair cost at $375,000.
Okay, for those of us that aren't engineers or road people, explain scouring.
Okay, scouring is basically when you get the flow that comes down this creek and you get high velocity of water that is traveling around and through these pylons, they create kind of a swirling effect on what would be the downstream side of those pilings. As that water is traveling down and creating those vortices around those pylons, it is picking up all the material and soil that supports it and also carrying it downstream. It's almost, if you look at when a windstorm basically comes through City Hall and the wind is traveling from the north and heading south, and you see all the debris that kind of ends up. The only difference is it deposits debris on this side of the building. With the water, it carries that debris and all that soil away. So that's what happened under this bridge. It basically carried about 10 feet of material from around those pilings and put them up, and it probably ended up in Fountain Creek somewhere. So that's scour. It's basically a high dollar word for erosion.
Right. No, interesting, though. You don't think of all the damage water does. Okay, all right, is there any other questions from council? Any questions from anyone in the audience? And Todd, how does money get into that drainage fund?
So each home that's built, there is it's about $700, I think now, $700 that's in the Jimmy Camp drainage basin itself. So not every home in the city, just the ones that are built in the Jimmy Camp drainage basin have to put in to that fund so we can do these types of maintenance.
So it's one of those growth paying its way, but we just put it in a reserve fund until we need it.
Correct. We've got a decent fund in there now, but when you look at what these costs of these are, if Bob hadn't have been able to attain this grant, only a couple of these incidents would go through that very quickly.
Madam
I
Clerk?
just wanted to clarify that it's a one-time cost at building permit, so those homeowners that are in that basin are not paying an ongoing fee
Right, okay.
annually. So just wanted to clarify.
Yes, thank you. All right. Thank heavens they're paying it, because that gives us that matching part. Okay, any questions from the audience? Okay, what would council like to do with Resolution 24-013? I'm sorry? Oh, 012. Thank you very much. Okay. I can't see. There we go. Councilmember Estes?
I move to approve Resolution 24-012.
Councilmember Duncan?
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for 24-012. Is there any further deliberation? Seeing none, please vote. And thank you for finding and working on getting that money also from the USDA. Thank you.
6 yes, motion carried.
The USDA, I just do not think of them in those terms. I think of them in other terms, right? Alrighty. Resolution 24-013, a resolution requesting inclusion into the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority. Now, Mr. Johnson, this is not us voting to put it on the ballot. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct.
There's
Mayor.
just, if we were to decide to do it, we're still researching it. If we were to decide to do it, there's a series of steps that have to happen along the way that cannot wait till the last minute, right? So these are just one of the steps that we are taking. And so go ahead.
Yeah, you may not even need me for this, Mayor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's exactly right. As the council is aware, there's a pretty prescribed way of amending the territorial boundaries of an RTA. And the way that happens is the territory and the city that's outside of the RTA, the Regional Transportation Authority, has to ask for permission to join before they can even make a decision to ask the voters to join. And so this would be that initial step of asking them to ask their members to see if even the council would have the opportunity to make the decision to join. And so this would be the first step on that is to ask them and their membership if they would even be willing to entertain the idea of Fountain joining the RTA. And so that in itself is a long process. And so that would have to take place. And if all those members were to vote in favor, then at that point, the city council would be faced with the actual decision whether or not to put it on the ballot for the voters to make a decision. And so the actual decision would be months from now. And again, this is familiar to the council because we went through this process similarly last year. And so this would be that just initial step of requesting inclusion into the RTA. So I won't take up any more time. Obviously, I think the council wants to have a discussion about it, but I'm here if there are any questions about the process or what this might mean.
If they say no, there's no point in even having any further discussion, right? So this is
Exactly.
just one of the steps in the process that we have to go through. Went through the steps last year. The RTA attorney came back, and I did ask her if we didn't have to go through this all again, and she said because they have new members on the RTA board and some of the, there's been changes in some of the various councils that it's just starting all new again. So that's why we just have to basically go through the same steps again.
Yep.
So, and the resolution does not say, it says we may put it on the ballot. So not that we are putting it on the ballot, it says we may. And so we just have to work through those steps. So is there any questions from council members? Councilmember Duncan.
I have a question. So it's just, when you ask for the explanation about us having to do the process all over again, and they say, well, it's just because it's new members, I mean, when did the members come on? Do you know?
The new members in the RTA board, people can change their members in and out at any point.
Yeah,
Just-
but that's not what I asked. Do
Right.
you know, because I'm just trying to figure out why, just because I was just trying to see why, just because they have the policy and procedures the same, right? And we just did it, what, few months ago?
Right, but we did it about a year ago, and some of the actual councils, have had elections in those times, Colorado Springs, Manitou Springs, and so those councils have to go through the whole process again, and each of them approve this, and so that, just like Jennifer's new on our board, right?
Right,
We
I'm
would-
just asking a
and-
question and not to be made
Right.
like I don't know. I'm just asking a question.
Right.
Why do we have to, because when I said we just did it, it just was on the ballot in November. So I'm just saying, I'm just wanting more explanation as to why we have to start from scratch, right?
Right, because we're asking to join, potentially, right, join the RTA, and we just have to start the process all over again, because it's a brand new year, brand new ballot measure, everything's treated as new.
And Councilperson Duncan, just so you know, we did ask that question to the PPRTA attorney, hoping for a different answer, but she made the finding that because of those changes, we had to repeat the whole process over again. We made a run at them. They said no.
Okay, because that was a lot of work going
Yeah.
from municipality to municipality doing this, and that takes how long? Months, right? Yeah.
Right. Any other questions from any other council members? Any questions from the audience? Okay, seeing none, what would council like to do with Resolution 24-013? Councilmember Rick.
Move to approve Resolution 24-013.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Councilmember Hertzberg.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for Resolution 24-013. Any further deliberation? Seeing none, please vote.
4 yes, 2 no. As you can see, can you see on the screen? Okay. There you go. Okay. Councilmember Duncan and Councilmember Estes voting no, motion carried.
All right, thank you. That takes us on to item 10, City Council Agenda Requests. Are there any agenda requests from any council members? Seeing none? Okay, all righty, that takes us announcement in executive session.
No.
All right, okay, no further business, we are adjourned.